Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. What am I wearing? Well, it's almost Halloween. People have been asking me, what am I dressing up as? This is the only tip I'll give people. This is going to be just one of my costumes, but I'm going to be wearing these glasses. Maybe they'll become a permanent fixture. Who knows? I'll wear them in future videos. But again, we're not having the spectacular Audio Fest that we normally have at 3MA. I think they're still moving into their new store, so the timing just didn't work out good this year. But I'm doing lots of parties around town. If you saw the videos we did with Pete and Doug when they came in town, I'm going to have a lot of reservations around town for different parties, costume contests. If you are coming to town, I know Dave Husto, who's been on the channel, is coming in town. Just give me a heads up and let me know. You're welcome to join us. But wanted to get, and also I'm off to Austin City Limits this weekend. Check out some stuff. Probably before you even see this video, you'll see some stuff I upload from that show. I'm going to check out Glorilla, not Gorillas, Glorilla, who sings that song F and F that is got the Ratchet Ass Friends song. Again, longtime subscribers that have recently been watching will know what I'm talking about. Also going to Toronto Audio Fest the following weekend, so I'll have a lot from there. But wanted to give you guys a little bit of preview. I've been teasing it in shorts about my subwoofer build. If you recall, my SVS sub went out, the plate amp, and I donated it to Doug, who bought a new plate amp, and it worked good for his Swarm. He needed that. I decided I've always wanted to do a passive do-it-yourself sub, and so I showed you guys, I think, the cabinet construction already done, although there had to be 2 iterations. At first, the dimensions weren't big enough for the driver I bought, so I had to get that correct. You got to also, one thing, if you're doing it yourself, take into account the thickness of the cabinet material, which is pretty thick, and any bracing to get that internal square footage right for the size driver. There is some play, of course, but yeah, I was way too small with what I had done. Sealed box cabinet. I'll put up pictures of the cabinet if you don't recall or haven't watched those YouTube shorts. But wanted to show you a couple other things. Part of the build, really, other than that cabinet, is getting some no-res from GR Research. I use these. It's pretty effective, very thick, much better than certainly some of these Dynamats and other things that I've tried. But the only negative I've found in some cases is that the adhesive on the back of this can warp out if the sheets themselves have warped. Now, what I'm impressed with is that this is a smaller sheet than I think the bigger ones I had to cut, the big squares, and those tended to warp before I even got to putting them in the GR Research N Extremes. So I think these smaller sheets probably won't have that warping factor, and then the adhesive will stay because it's not being pulled by some existing warp. But I'm very much a fan of the no-res compared to other dampening sheets that I've used. And then, probably best if I just tilt the camera and show you guys the Acoustic Elegance driver. I'm a big fan of Acoustic Elegance for their drivers. They've been used in some of my favorite speakers, from Ari Surratt to IO Designs. Oh, by the way, just a shout out for IO Designs. My friend Jerry, who's a home dealer in California, was just telling me the other night he's had people come over for 5-hour demo sessions. Sometimes they don't want to leave. He has both the Bach and the IO Designs. 5-hour demo sessions, people not wanting to leave. We see this with the Bach at shows, people not getting out of that center chair. But why I went 4 times back to the IO Designs room in Munich compared to any other show I go to, how many rooms you see me go 4 or 5 times, it's starting to play out. Other people are seeing and hearing the same things I heard. So he's got one of the best systems, obviously, right now in the country. I'll be out to see him soon. But getting back to my subwoofer build, Acoustic Elegance, very much a fan of their drivers. They are consistent in a lot of my favorite speakers. And so I got one of their drivers that's built for sealed box usage. And I worked with the guy in charge there. He's also going to do a Zoom interview with me at some point. He's got some new developments with his company I want to showcase for you. He's another one of these guys that, as I showcase other people in the hobby that I've grown to like and trust and think that are part of my Audiophile Avengers team, I think you're going to be impressed with this gentleman as well once I get to know him better and do a Zoom interview with you. But I'm looking forward to putting this driver in. But I also teased in a little YouTube short recently a few things, and I said, what is this going to be used for? Well, I'm creating probably the most crazy subwoofer amp in history. Because it's a passive, I have to make my own amp to drive it. I do have, with the mini DSP and stuff, the ability to have crossovers and all the controls. So I don't need a plate amp with all these controls, and that's oftentimes why these subwoofer companies have to use plate amps that have all these controls built in. But I'm going for, I've got that taken care of already. I'm going for a true quality sub amp that's not going to, I could use on my Geo Research and Extremes as well. It can be used in 1-channel or 2-channel mode, but is high level, should last forever, not like these plate amps that tend to peter out after some time, or even instantly, because they're poorly made in most cases, even the ones with the high price tag subwoofers. So anyway, this amp, though, will be designed by somebody that I just came back in the picture for me recently. I knew of him maybe 30 years ago when I went to shows, at least 20 years ago for sure. Very unique individual, does bespoke, handmade products, and that's what I enjoy. I do that with Steve McCormick. He doesn't do as crazy as I'm doing for this amp for the subwoofer, so you know, I let him do my main amps here, but this is so crazy it's even out of his wheelhouse. But this gentleman is a, you know, very well known in terms of, if you're a long time in the hobby, and very independent guy. And one thing that resonated with me and really put me over the edge to deciding to use him to do this custom amp. And I'm not going to tell you who it is just yet. Many of you are going to figure it out, but let's play this game, see how many can figure it out. I was watching a video about him, and he said something very poignant to me, well, in the video, that resonated with me. And it was basically, he said, if you ask 10 people if they want to be thought of as an individual and independent, 10 people will say yes. But how many people actually do stuff that makes them independent, you know, or individual? We live our lives sometimes as sheep, you know, just wanting to conform. You know, how many people will go out on the town wearing these goggles, wearing this kind of a necklace, this ring, these clothes? You know, a lot of people sometimes say, oh, you should tone that down. You may hurt your impressions of being a writer for the Absolute Sound or Stereophile. Not interested, not zero interest. I'd rather be myself. People are going to judge you regardless of what you portray. Especially if you're a public figure, somebody's going to judge me no matter what. I'd rather them judge me for who I am and being an individual than just trying to conform, trying to put on a facade. And what I try to do with my products as well is put myself into them. If you look at the finish of my Geo Research and Extremes, nobody's done it this way. I use combination of white and black. It's mainly Duratex white, and I created this own design myself. I wanted it to be do-it-yourself and something unique to me. If you look at my amps that Steve McCormick did, I had him do this white chassis. He's never done that before. And then my server. Let's turn this around here. You know, I build that myself. This rug I had custom made. The 27 Club. Everything that I try to do, whether it's my clothes, everything, try to add an element of independent uniqueness. To me, it's just when I walk in this room, it's just much more, it just feels like me than somebody else's stuff or something that came off an assembly line or a dealer. It doesn't mean you have to do that with everything in your possessions or your life, but trust me, if you add a little bit of individuality and do it yourself, there's so much reward when you finish something like this, when you finish a subwoofer project versus just buying it. Yeah, it's cool to open it up. We all like to open up presents, you know, and these are big boy audio toys that we normally play with. Totally get it. But lasting enjoyment of the product is when you can look at it and say, I did that. I made that. Or I at least worked with the designer to create something unique. And this subwoofer amp is going to be kind of crazy. But stay tuned. Probably in the next 2 weeks, you're going to find out who it is that's designing this amp if you haven't already figured it out. All right, guys, sign up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you back here soon.